Hello, it's me, Cappy. My mommy is the best. Superman will be nice. She helps mommy. It makes my ears black. Your dick goes black. And this might go black. You wait for the straw. Brush. Get ready for it's super ugly. I'm super glad.
Welcome to Healing for the Soul podcast, sponsored by Supermom Robin Stoltman, where every week I feature different guests to empower you to become the best version of yourself through different methods you may not have heard of or even thought of. If you are ever looking for a virtual assistant, I highly recommend Sphere Rocket to delegate any business-related tasks like grow your social medias, book appointments, and much more that all businesses require, boosting your sales, productivity, and much more. The link to Sphere Rocket is at the bottom of this episode, and this is season number 6, episode number 38. And today I have my guest, Gloria Vanderhorst. Hope I said your last name right.
Yes, you did.
Perfect. Who has gained her wisdom through 50 years of experience working with preschoolers through adults in her dynamic psychology practice. Her current focus is on the emotional development of men and boys and how the culture robs males of access to the full range of emotions, leaving them handicapped. She is the author of a New York Times best-selling journal book called Read, Reflect, Respond, the 3 R's of growth and change. And today we are talking about why husbands disappoint. And I'm so excited that you're here, Gloria. Let's get started.
So I'm glad to be here, Robin, and to really talk to your audience about the dynamic between husbands and wives, because there's some little known facts that now will be well known because of your audience. And one of those is that boys come into this world with a broader range of emotional expression than girls do.
Really?
So let that sink in. Yes. So the husband that you get at the adult end of this process doesn't have access to a broad range of emotions. But the infant boy that you get at the very beginning has a broader range of emotional expression than girls do. Why that is, I don't know, right? But we have demonstrated it over and over again. It's just a genetic fact that boys are created with a broader range of emotional expression. Adaptive? I don't know, it must be. But what happens in infancy is that mothers are not comfortable with that broader range. All right, so boys can get more intense on the high end of excitement, exuberance, kind of getting wild. Right?
Oh, I know that. I got 7 boys.
Right. And they can get more intense on the negative end, all right? Irritated, agitated, depressed, worried, overwhelmed. And as an infant, the brilliance of an infant is that they read emotions perfectly. It's their only survival mechanism, right? So you can take a healthy, well-fed, well-dressed, very comfortable infant, you can put it in a box and set it outside of a building, any building, walk away, and that comfortable, relaxed infant will start to cry, all right? Because infants are emotionally brilliant. That infant knows it has been abandoned. All right, so despite the fact that it's physically comfortable, that it's well fed, it will start to cry because it knows it has been abandoned. Infants are emotionally brilliant. They read the room. I tell people, if you want to start a business with a group of other people, bring a baby to a meeting. Pass the baby around the room. In one person's arms, the baby will be relaxed and comfortable and cooing. Somebody else, the baby will be a little fidgety. Somebody else, the baby will start to cry. Nothing wrong with the baby. The baby has just read the room perfectly and told you the first person is safe. The second person is a little uncomfortable. And the third person is not trustworthy.
Interesting.
Yes.
I'm glad that you told me that, because I've actually done that I had a business meeting in town, and I had did that because taking advice from somebody else on how they ran their business, just bringing their baby. I find that very fascinating that you just had said that, because I literally had that in a room with 5 people total.
That's fabulous.
Within the room happen, and I was like, I didn't pass the baby around, but just their expression alone, and I could feel like the energy, and it made them very uncomfortable. And I was like, oh, I don't think that this is a place that I want to be helping or serving.
Yeah, good for you. That's right.
And the sad thing is, it was the college.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you seem to think you would have had that, but no, I was like, so that explains it. I'm gonna do that more often then, because
so
I never
they're
thought about that.
emotionally
They
brilliant.
brought it up.
They're really
like I forgot about
brilliant.
it. Yeah, they definitely are. Because it's, now that I'm thinking about, like, even when they're strangers, like in the stores, like some of my kids have had stranger danger, and then others have not. Like, I've got a couple of my kids never had stranger danger at all whatsoever. I mean, like, I don't even think they know what danger is if they've gotten stuff, and I'm like, okay, you guys are still alive, we're good. But it's like, I've wondered that, like, why do some boys have that stranger danger, but then the other ones just haven't had that? Is that more because, like, what you just had said?
It actually could be just the difference between the people they're interacting with, right? So because an infant has this capability of sensing safety, they need safety. And it could be that your son is telling you that this person isn't safe as a legitimate message, and the other one hasn't been around people that are not safe. I don't know exactly, but that could be it. But the very fact, right, that boys have this broader range, it then gets narrowed because mothers are not comfortable with the upper high range or the low range. And then as a culture, we raise boys to shut down emotions. We train them to get rid of the emotions on the negative end of the continuum. We don't want them to cry. All right. We don't want them to fuss. We don't want them to have even some of the tender emotional expression they can get shamed for. They're supposed to be tough, right? Yeah. They're not supposed to go play in the kitchen corner in kindergarten, right? They're supposed to go play in the boy corner with the blocks and build things. And so we shove them in the direction of don't carry these emotions on the softer end of the continuum forward with you. Kind of box those up, but don't share them publicly. And then they grow up, they get married, and in relationship, right, you want access to that part of your husband. You want access to the tender part.
Yeah.
But hey, we've already trained him not to open that piece of himself up. Yet we expect somehow, by magic, that he's going to be sensitive, he's going to be tender, he's going to have availability to listen and to comfort and to help you problem solve. And then when your husband takes the risk of coming home with his own emotional need, Maybe he's been disappointed at work. Maybe he's been passed over for a promotion. Maybe somebody's made fun of him, right? And he comes home to tell that story. Too often, women don't know what to do with that story. They just give assurance. I'm sorry that happened to you. You know, I know it had to be hard, and I hope tomorrow's better, right? We give assurance. We don't give curiosity. How did you experience that? What happened in your body? How did you feel right when it happened? How are you feeling now? Because you brought it home with you. So how are you feeling now? We don't get curious. We don't dive deeper into the emotional experience of our husbands. And then we wonder, well, why aren't they easily accessible on an emotional level when I need comfort? Right? We've made it almost impossible for them to make that emotional connection. And then that leads to conflict, leads to disappointment, right? It leads to, I'm not content with the way that I'm being treated or related to. There's something really missing in my relationship. And it leads to real discomfort and can explode into very difficult conflict between husband and wife as well.
I'm just thinking a lot about everything you just had said. I'm like taking it all in because it's like it does make sense. Like my husband, so like I'm raising our kids differently for all the boys. I'm like, I want them to cry. I want them to express their emotions in a healthy way. You know, like when they got angered, I'm like, go push the wall. Go, you can't kick the wall because the one wanted to kick it. I'm like, no, we can't kick the wall, but we can push it.
Or so pound the pillow.
Yes, teaching them healthy ways of how to handle the anger. But then I'm like, I want you to cry because I want you to get it out. You know, so I'm thinking now about like my husband. I'm like, oh, like some of those things, like he wasn't raised that way, like what you had just said. So that does make sense. Why, instead of just me, like, why can't you talk about it? Why he emotionally shuts down.
Right.
And that makes so much sense because the boys are trained incorrectly on that.
They are.
Boys, and that would explain then too, like the theory that I've always had is why do the men tend to be like the mass murderers? Because they're being shut down. They're not allowed to express.
Our jails are full of men for that very reason. All right. They get into conflicts with wives, with friends, even with strangers, because they don't have the vocabulary to express what they are experiencing. And so they'll just act out. All right. They'll push somebody, they'll hit somebody, they'll kill somebody. All right. And there's a ton of research on how difficult it is to have men access and manage emotion because we've limited that. We've said it's not masculine to access emotions on the negative end of the continuum. And when you handicap someone, it's going to have a consequence. And it has a very expensive consequence for us that we haven't trained our boys to have and maintain access to the full range of emotional expression.
I would definitely say so. Now I'm thinking about school because I had just put my kids in school this year instead of homeschooling them, and they're talking about they're getting bullied at school, and I'm like, well, did you talk to the teacher about it? And the one, he's like, he was crying, and it's like I haven't had a chance to talk with the teacher or to ask more questions about it. But, beyond, did you tell your teacher? But it's like one of those things. I'm like, I forgot that he's surrounded at school where they're not allowed to cry.
Right.
And I'm like, I want them to cry. I want them to share their emotions. So I'm like, Now I
Right.
got thinking about
He's
that part
having
of
a
it.
normal, natural reaction that the culture does not like. And so his peers are not expressing in that way. So he's the odd man out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we are talking about this, because like this is very important, to have this conversation as a whole, because I think that's what a lot of people like we're talking about in society in general, they're shutting down the men. Like they're just shutting down boys, start them when they're young, and then when, like you said, when they get older, it's like, well, why do you think you've got the problems?
Right.
So how would one
It was
build that safety?
adaptive in some way. It definitely was adaptive. All right. So if you think about the caveman, I want him to be brave. I want him to be
Yes.
courageous. I want him to take risks so that he can take his spear, go out, kill something so that we can eat. I
Yes.
don't want him to be nervous. I don't want him to be anxious. I don't want him to be fearful. All right. So all of those emotions on the negative end of the continuum, I wish he would just cut them out. Right. So historically, and we send men to war. Right. We've killed off thousands of them, decimated the male population periodically. So it was adaptive at one point, but I don't think, if you look at the culture moving forward, that it will continue to be adaptive, because we don't engage in conflicts in the same way. And we now have the capability of destroying huge numbers of people by pushing buttons instead of sending thousands of men into a field. We blow people up by pushing buttons. Sorry to say that, but it's true.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I'm like thinking, well, there's the buttons, like when you talk to somebody, there's also like the buttons for like all the weapons that they've got. So there's a couple different button options that I'm thinking about. Like when you had said that, like immediately my brain's like, what button is it? It's like
the bomb button.
Well, yeah, that's yeah.
It's sending the explosion remotely.
That is true. We do have that technology now to do those things that we didn't back then. So then, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that would probably explain then too, like one of the things I've always wondered is like when you take a boy, he goes into the military, he's not really a boy at 17, 18 years old.
Right.
But they're expected to be a man at that age. So when you send them into a place like the military, I call them like they're militarized.
Right.
Where they come out and they're not the same person at all.
They're not the same person. Right. Yeah, we've got clear evidence of that in all of the post-traumatic stress disorders of men that have been sent into wars.
So would that be more of the PTSD side of it, or is that going to be more of like that's where the military really wants a person to shut down so that way they can go out and protect?
Well, we need both, right? If I'm going to send you out into a field, or if I'm going to, let you off of a ship and you're supposed to run up the beach, I don't want you tapping into those negative emotions. I don't want you being afraid. I don't want you being nervous. I want you being brave. But the trauma that happens when you survive that is indeed post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I need to be able to serve that disorder appropriately, all right, and help you to heal from that. So we're in a double bind. I want you to limit, and then I want to facilitate gaining more access to those deeper feelings as well. I think as the culture moves forward and we move more into artificial intelligence and all the capabilities there, that we will have to put much more emphasis and focus on emotionality and helping people to make deeper emotional connections with each other.
So then why is this connection with others so important?
because we were born connected to another human being. All right, genetically, we were
simple.
born
Yeah,
connected to another human being, and we do spend the rest of our lives seeking connection, right?
that
Just
is
like your
true.
infant is doing now, all right? That
Yeah,
reach of a hand is, I want connection. And
true.
we all need connection. We thrive with connection. If we don't have social connections, we tend to develop illnesses.
Really?
Yeah.
So just being alone can cause more illness?
Yeah,
That'd be like
just
more
being
illnesses that
alone
it can
can
cause?
cause more deterioration in your body.
Oh.
Because when you are interacting with others, you're actually boosting your immune system. There is a benefit to socializing. It reduces your blood pressure.
Oh, did not know that one.
Yeah, it reduces your blood pressure when you socialize. There's research that it can even reduce the probability of certain diseases like diabetes or heart disease or certain cancers as well. So if you have an active social life and have friends that you interact with, have fun with, can trust, can confide in, you have a tendency to be physically healthier than the person who is isolated, stays home, interacts with the television, but not with other people. We are born to be social. We're connected to another human being, and we seek connection from the moment we're born.
Wow. I'm thinking about how many people could save their life just from the blood pressure part alone. There's a lot of men that it seems like, I don't know if it's a real statistic or not, but it seems like there seems to be a tendency where men have higher blood pressure than women.
I think that's true.
And die
if you
from the
look
heart
at the
disease
social interaction for men, the social interaction tends to be ritualized. All right, there are certain things that we can talk about, and there are certain territories we don't go into. And the territories that men don't go into are those emotional places where you need the most relief. All right, if I am feeling less than at work, if I'm feeling put upon in my relationship, if I am missing connection with a sibling, with a child, I'm not really encouraged to talk about those things if I'm a guy. If I'm a girl, I can talk about those things with friends easily.
Oh, yeah. We're trained to.
But guys, no, guys don't go into that territory. They come together for an activity, all right? We'll watch sports. We'll play a game of some kind. Any kind of game is fair. It can be we could go from tennis to board games. It can be indoor, outdoor, as long as it's a game where there are rules, there's structure. All right. I know if I stay inside the lines, if I stay inside the rules, I'm going to be included and feel like I belong. And inclusion and belonging, I think, are the primary feeling states that get satisfied for a male. Achievement gets added to that. But if you go into the deeper, right? Am I important? Am I accepted? Am I loved? Can I really be trusted? Guys don't go into that territory.
Yeah, they really don't. I'm thinking about like all the guy friends that I've had, like they don't really go into any of that.
No.
Even just being around us women, like they don't really go into that.
No. Sometimes they'll benefit from being in a group of women, kind of hanging in that territory periodically at a party, for example.
Yeah.
Or at a backyard barbecue, because they get the benefit of the deeper emotional connection that happens with women. And so they get a secondary benefit from just sitting in that circle and kind of being available in that circle. But you will not find a group of guys sitting in a circle and sharing emotionally important information or issues or problems. They're going to share the latest sport. They're going to share about cars that they either own or have repaired or wish they had.
True.
Right?
Yeah. I can definitely see all of that part of it. Like, just men in general, like my husband, he doesn't have any friends. All he has is me. So I'm just like, I'm thinking about that part for him. I'm always like, why hasn't he ever wanted friends? And he's like, I just need you.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm like, that's a good thing. But at the same time, it's like guys are supposed to have friends. But now that you're bringing all this up, I'm thinking maybe it's a good thing that they've got friends. But at the same time, if they're not getting those other needs met, I'm almost wondering, like, if that's where men decide that they want to go cheat then on their wives and on their girlfriends and that, because if their need isn't getting met, like when we talked about earlier about how, like the man, when he comes home and he got passed over from promotion, or he didn't, something happened at work, would that be where that leads to in that difficulty for the relationship then?
It certainly can, right? Because his emotional need doesn't have a place to land. It doesn't have a place of safety. So I'm going to seek out other emotional connections. And that makes me vulnerable for an emotional connection with a coworker or with the wife of a neighbor. All that vulnerability opens you up to taking more risk with another woman.
And that would make a lot of sense then, where that route goes. So then that explains then why men would have that difficulty in relationships. And what about like the intimacy in particular then? Does that play into that as well?
Absolutely, right? So if we feel comfortable, if we have safety in relationship, then we're going to want to move closer. But if I don't have safety and I don't have comfort, and I can't come home and share my disappointment about missing a promotion or about being in a fight with somebody over how the company should be run, then I'm going to seek that satisfaction in other relationships.
That makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of women need to talk with you. I'm just saying. I think that would I think that would help them out, a lot of them, because I'm like, I think a lot of the problems are solely because they're not being listened to. So that explains why my husband's like, oh, we don't just me.
Women love to go into deeper emotional experiences with other women, but they have been trained basically not to explore that with men. It's quite rare that a woman has the comfort level to go into deeper discussion about what's happening for the male emotionally, because we've also been socialized to expect that the male is strong, the male protects us, right?
True.
Somebody's breaking into the house, the male's going to take care of that, the male's going to step up and get hurt. I'm not going to step up and get hurt, but the male is going to do that, right? Firemen are men. Recently, there have been women added to it, but they're firemen, police, men, right? Recently, women have been added to it, but they're police men. So we have this history of having the expectation that the man is the protector, the man is the aggressor, right? The man is the one who's going to take the risk,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be safe and protected, and I don't have to go out and take that risk. Well, that's got a huge consequence for intimacy,
Oh, yeah. Especially if the
right?
man isn't willing to fulfill those roles.
And intimacy requires vulnerability.
Yeah, it does.
Right? And so we train you
Yeah.
not to be vulnerable. And then we have this expectation that you can engage in intimacy, which requires vulnerability. It's crazy making.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like,
Blown away.
well, yeah, I am. That's why I'm like, I really don't have much to say on that, because I'm like, just like, I never thought about all these different things, because I'm like, so why are you so interested in the men and boys? Because like you brought up that connection that not every woman likes to do that.
Right. When I started my private practice, I had a friend who ran a preschool. Preschools, by and large, are run by women, staffed by women. All right. And so they pay attention to the little boys because the little boys are more active. All right. They bump around more. They don't want to sit in the circle. All right. They want to move their bodies. And so preschool teachers get concerned that there's something wrong with the little boy. And they refer them out for evaluations. And so I started getting a lot of preschool boys on my calendar. And I learned a lot from preschool boys. It's just amazing what you can learn from a preschool boy. Because they still retain some of that emotional brilliance that we're trying to socialize out of them. Yeah. So if you catch a boy at the preschool level, he still has that capability of vulnerability that we train out of boys as they get older. And, you know, they're bright, they're young, they're kids, they're bright, they're curious. And boys are physically more active, typically, than little girls. So my calendar filled with evaluations of preschool boys, and I began to understand kind of what's the emotional range of a preschool boy. And as I'm evaluating these kids to see, you know, do you have attention deficit or not, many of the fathers of these boys did have attention deficit, had not been evaluated or helped as kids. And so the fathers started putting time on my calendar. And I had years where my calendar was almost completely full of therapy with adult men. It was a huge blessing because I learned so much about how we socialize our boys and the expectations of men and how that limits their access to the full range of emotions. And so that's what started the whole process of being interested, focusing on learning. And then if you dig into the research that's been done on boys, it's shocking. There is a huge amount of research that has been done on boys, but it stays in the professional literature. It doesn't kind of make it to the magazine or make it to the newspaper. It just stays in the professional literature. So we have professional access to things that would help us tremendously. It's just not jumped into the common lexicon. It's starting to do that because if you look for books for fathers, you will find that recently there are a variety of books that are written specifically for fathers about interacting with their boys and raising their boys. So we're starting a trend to pay attention to the emotional lives of boys and men and facilitate kind of a different type of dynamic between father and son. Historically, father's out working, right? Maybe he'll throw a couple of baseballs with the kid on the weekend, but historically, he's not really engaged in conversation with that boy or understanding that boy on an emotional level or even being curious or interested. But that trend is now changing. And I hope it continues to change so that we end up giving our boys access to the full range of emotion, and actually it would make the male population healthier.
I think it would too, because I'm like thinking about like my husband, like he's very involved with the kids because we got 7 boys, like I said, and 1 girl. So I'm like, yeah, my boys, they're completely different than the one daughter. I'm just hoping that she'll be okay with all the brothers. I'm just
all the
saying.
Boys.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about her on that aspect of it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, my husband, like he's doing the stay-at-home dad work versus me, and I'm like, I'm almost hoping, like in a way, that helps the children out on that for them growing up as boys, because they're going to see that.
Right.
But I know like they're asking questions because they're like, well, mommy, you said we're supposed to protect. And I'm like, well, yes. And then the one said, well, then why is daddy doing all the cleaning and doing all the food and doing all the stuff? And I'm like, well, because we're just got different roles. I'm like, mommy has different skills than daddy. Yes, that's all it is, on that aspect of it. But now I'm just like thinking, does that help? Like one of the statistics that I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but that boys that don't have their father in the home or a strong father in the home are the ones that tend to get into like prison, or they get into more of the criminal side of things.
They have more mental health issues.
Yeah.
They do get into trouble more frequently. And I think if you did a survey in jails, that you would find the majority of them did not have a father figure growing up. Either a biological father or another male serving as a model for them. So it is critical. And there is a trend of more fathers staying home and raising children, which I think is fabulous. And one of the reasons is that fathers do have a broader range of emotional acceptance and emotional understanding. I'll give you an example, a real example. My granddaughter was in kindergarten, and she had a male teacher, which I'm really grateful for. And they were doing a finger painting exercise, right? So everybody is at the tables, has a piece of paper, they get finger paints, and my granddaughter is, doing it on the paper, and then she decides to do it on the table, right? And then she decides to do it down the table leg, right? And this male teacher got his phone out and just recorded all of it. Never stopped her, right? Allowed whatever that creativity was to go exploring wherever she wanted to explore. I'm sure a female teacher would have stopped her and told her to stay on the
immediately.
paper. But this guy was like, oh, that's interesting, right? Let me videotape this. And it is such a healthy sense of acceptance of the creativity of a child. So I love the fact that there are more men staying home and raising their kids, because men have this tolerance that women don't have. All right. The female would have been immediately anxious and worried about this.
So I'm doing it right then on that one.
You're
so
doing
I
it
give
right.
myself props
It's a
for that
good
one.
thing to have dads staying home.
Well, that I won't worry about it because I'm just thinking like the role models of like what we were taught like growing up.
Right.
Because I'm the older millennials, for that generation and like how we were raised, yet.
Mm-hmm.
But then nowadays, it's like the men still are not being taught to cry. They're still not taught,
Right.
their emotions and all that for the range of like what we've talked about this whole time. But even in
That's
that,
why
I'm
they
glad
have
that they're
more health
training it
problems.
differently.
All right, because
Yeah.
they cannot process their emotions, they have more health problems.
Yeah, and that's not good. That explains why the men don't live as long as women then. It answers another question. I was going to ask that, like, why do men, not
There it
live as
is.
long? But that would explain it. So it's not just like the nagging that like a lot of men have said. It's literally they're not allowed to express those emotions. And that's not healthy at all whatsoever for them.
It
So
is
then,
not healthy because if,
Yeah.
as this little boy taught me, if the
Mhm.
if the tears cannot come out, they will go in, right? This little boy told me he didn't cry, right? Was one of the characteristics of this guy because his parents were divorced and he moved back and forth between these two houses. His parents
Mhm.
were concerned the kid never cries, but he gets really violent.
Yeah.
Right? So in working with him, I ask him, well, what happens to your tears? And he says, okay, they start to come out my eyes and I push them back in and I swallow them, right? And they go down into my tummy and they turn into rocks. And then they come back up out of my tummy in my mouth and I throw them all around the room. Now, if that isn't the ideal explanation of what happens to suppressed emotions, right? If you suppress emotions, they're gonna come out in some way that is not healthy for you or the other people in the room. So it was an ideal description of what we socialize men to experience, which is don't express your emotion. So it's going to stay in your body, right? And it's going to turn into some kind of discomfort or disease in your body.
Yeah, 100%. Because like the Body Keeps Score is one book that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that there's many, many books that have been wrote over the years
Right.
about how our emotions, that's why we have the disease and the sickness and the illnesses and all that. That's why the immune system is bad, is because of the stress and holding on to stuff versus letting it out in a healthy way. That's something I always got to make sure it's a healthy way. Don't want to be like hitting a wall like my one wanted to do. I'm like, no, we can bring back the punching bag. I told him, I said, we can bring that back in the house. I'm like, we can do that. I know that's exercise, but actually, if more men did exercise, that would help. Not just their waistline, but it would also help probably get those emotions out in a healthy way.
That's true. That would make a difference. That is true.
Would that help so that husbands and like the boys aren't so, it's not so much that the boys disappoint, but more like when the husbands, they grow up and then they start disappointing their wives or they feel like their disappointment would, like telling them, hey, let's go exercise or like encouraging
exercise
them.
can definitely support, can facilitate, can release emotion. And at the same time, I think it is critical that men give themselves permission to identify feelings.
True.
I have a list of feelings that I tend to send out to couples. It is 4 pages, 3 columns on each page, all just emotion words. And the truth is that when you cannot find what you're feeling, you can't produce it, your brain can recognize it. So you read through that list and the feeling that you're having just pops right off the page. It works absolutely every time. So by going through that list, you're also increasing your vocabulary. about emotion, and you're identifying, you're associating that word. I'm feeling humiliated, right? Well, that word is now associated with this feeling in my body. So when I have this feeling in my body again, I will know it. I will know, oh, that's humiliation, right? It
Yeah, it
isn't
is.
irritation. It isn't
No.
frustration. That's humiliation. Right now, the way I'm being related to and treated is humiliating for me. So the feeling words and the very fact that your brain is brilliant, your brain knows every possible feeling a human being can have, and it can recognize every possible feeling that you could have. It can label it accurately if you just give it the right way to find it.
So now I'm thinking, because like sometimes you're like, you don't know like the word. Like for me, I'm like, there's like the angst and like you're frustrated about something, but you just don't got the right thing. So I just started yelling, and I'm just like, I know like what it is. It's just like, it's like it feels stuck.
If you had the feelings
So it's like I couldn't
you'd
do it.
find it.
Well, yeah, I would now, because I'm like, I'm thinking like I just didn't know like the word, but it's like I can feel it in my body. Like I know like my body can
and then
act the
your
emotion
brain can
every
actually
time.
recognize the correct label. It really will find that correct label, and that makes such a huge difference when you really have the correct label for what you're experiencing emotionally. Then you can problem solve with that. But if you don't have the correct label, the problem solving won't work.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because it's like I noticed like it's important to have like the label, like the emotion labeled. And it's like I've noticed that like even with my kids, it's like if you have the correct label for the emotion that they're feeling, or like in my case, I'm like, I just don't got the emotion. I don't know what it is, but I know what it feels like. But it's like you can't work on it to ask more questions.
Right.
To ask like, why do I feel this way? Like, how can I help this emotion? Because it's not like you want to get rid of it, but it's like you want to help it.
Yeah. So just think of kind of the example that you used, right? So let's say frustration is an emotion name you're familiar with. So you use it for a lot of things, but in actuality, you were feeling humiliated. Now, humiliation and frustration are very different. Really different. So if I can label this accurately and talk to you about feeling humiliated, then there can be a good conversation that develops out of that. But if I keep calling it frustration, I never get the satisfaction of resolving it. I have to label it correctly in order to get the satisfaction of resolving it.
That makes a lot of sense, especially like with the body keeps score. And then I'm thinking about how the emotions buried alive never die. Like I'm thinking about those but they're not just textbooks. I mean, like they're regular books you can pick up. But I mean, like to me, they're almost like a textbook, like how I'm thinking of them. But I mean, like we've got so many things that prove this, like for the emotions being stuck in the bodies, and then trying to get them out. So then I'm wondering about now your book, the Read, Reflect, and Respond, the 3 R's of growth and change. Is this one all related to about men and boys, like how we can help them? Can you tell me more about your book?
This is a book for anyone, right? If you can read, you can use this book.
Awesome.
And it is unique in this way. It has an essay on the left-hand page, and you can go through this book in any way you want, right? There are 52 of them, so you can do one a week for a year. You could take forever to do them. And you can start any place. You could go to the index one day and pick out something with a title that just happens to connect for you that particular day. But the facing page is blank. It has 2 or 3 stimulating questions at the top, but it's blank. Most journal books have lines because they are expecting you to write a response. your brain does hold information in terms of language, but it also holds information in terms of feelings, right? And in terms of physical expression. You can't tap into those two with language. You have to tap into those two with action. All right, so you can draw on that page, you can scribble on that page, you could get intense, all right, you could get light, you could get, frilly, you could write a story, you could draw a picture. And what people are discovering is that when they use this journal and respond to the blank page, that they are going deeper into their own emotional experiences than they have ever gone before. And I tell people, you could tear the page if you wanted. You'd have to tape it back together to read the essay that's on the other side. But, if that's what comes to you, do it, because that's really good information about how your brain is responding to the content that got stimulated by the essay.
I'm thinking about that one now too, because I'm thinking, how, in the play therapy, how.
Absolutely.
Because I'm thinking about the play therapy, that's what I thought about, is that having a child interact with toys in the play therapy, how they reenact.
Right.
And it's
and also sand tray work, if you're familiar with sand tray work for both kids and adults, where they can use all different kinds of figurines or objects to place in a sand tray. It's that same thing. It's that if I get my body engaged in researching basically what are the emotions that I've been holding on to and have packed away, then by doing this action, I can actually find those feelings. But if I only had language, I can't find it. And I'm going to mislabel it. The other thing is true.
I just thought of this. That's a huge way to help children with autism.
That's right.
That explains why I've been so good with my son, because I have one with autism, and to get him interested in wanting to do anything academically, I've had to take and use Play-Doh. I started using Play-Doh for having him build. The Play-Doh would make him into snakes and all that to get the flashcard for words and stuff. But it's that's how I got him interested in it. I'm okay, something has to work that he wants.
Right.
But now that makes sense for getting the expression of, I didn't even know what I was doing.
Right, you're tapping into a different part of his brain. You're not tapping into the language, right? You're tapping into a very different part of his brain where tons of information is stored. And now he can access it.
No, but that makes a lot of sense. It's it's kind of funny, because I didn't even realize what I was doing. I was just trying to help him. But then that explains a lot of the things of why now he's able to, the word on and off, for example, when I was trying to teach him something simple, he was able to do it in the Play-Doh, but then all of a sudden he was able to connect to the light switch. He was able to make those different connections. So his reading and writing, he's got to work on it a little better. But the reading part and the understanding, is so much faster than the other ones that I did not do that with.
That's great. That's great.
So then that's almost sounds like what your book is doing through the journaling, where it's got the blank pages, but then they're allowed to, like you said, you can take the page out, do whatever you want with it, but then put it back in, of course. But it's I'm thinking is that
you get
doing
to
the exact
access
same
different
thing?
parts of your brain.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's I'm enjoying this conversation, if you haven't noticed, because I'm there's just so many different things that I'm thinking about that it's I never thought of it, but I'm I've always thought of it as this is something normal that I've just something has to work. So you think of how to do something differently than what you've done before. I'm almost person could use that book in a lot of different ways. Like, I don't know specifically like what's in your book, obviously. So that is a question I do have, is what specifically is in your book?
Yeah,
'Cause you're
so
talking
the
about journaling.
essays are just a collection of basically simple stories,
Okay.
right? I write a blog on a regular basis. So I've just collected 52 of those blogs and put them into a book and organized them in a variety of different categories as well. So it's just fun.
So why do you blog then? Do you just blog because it's fun, or?
I blog because I have to, right? Because it comes to me. So
Okay.
I've been doing it for a couple of years, and it is like in a conversation. I'll give you one example. All right. I was talking to a friend a couple years ago just about growing up. And she told this little story that when she was a kid, she was very outgoing. And so one day her mother told her she could make friends with a fly. And I thought, that's hilarious, right? So the next
Yeah.
blog was, I can make friends with a fly. So I pick these things up from interacting with other people, from something I've read, from something that just pops into my head. And they're only a single page, so it doesn't go on forever. And then I post them on Substack and MailChimp, and anybody can access them from those places.
That's awesome. That's very helpful. And I know I had interrupted as well, and I apologize for that, for what was in your book exactly, for some of the ideas that you had in your book. You said there was 52 weeks, or is it?
Yeah, there are 52 essays, so you could do one a week if you wanted to.
Okay.
You could take forever to go through it. You could go through it faster, and you don't have to go through anything in order. So you have free reign to read any of the essays in whatever time frame you want. You can go back over them as well. So it's for emotional growth. It's just to help you to understand yourself better.
Emotional growth, I think a lot of people can use. It's that emotional intelligence. That's something that a lot of people need. They don't have enough of it. And I've heard there's been it's not the IQ that matters with the person as much as the EQ.
Right, that's right. Yes.
So with this, everything that we've talked about, that makes a lot of sense, though, why the emotional part of it is more valuable in a way than the actual IQ of a person.
Oh, so much almost more valuable, I think, right? Because we are a social group. We're social beings. We have to interact with each other. We don't function well in isolation, right? If you think about it, in isolation, we go crazy. We have a very difficult time in isolation. So we are definitely a social group and need to interact with each other.
Yeah, 100% on that. I did not like when the shutdown had happened, because I'm like, this is not helping anybody at all whatsoever.
Right.
I think that was it was the worst crime, as far as I'm concerned, committed on humanity.
Well, there are a lot of emotional consequences because of that isolation.
Are they seeing that by chance now?
Oh, yes.
In people?
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, people are still in the process of recovering from the consequences of being isolated all of that time.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because I know a couple people, when they've, my daughter, she was born during that time. She was born in December 2020. So I know some people, when they've evaluate children for how well they can speak and do things, she was one of them that are can't even tell that she was a COVID baby. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, well, they've just shown that there's some speech problems and there's some interaction problems.
And some more lethargy,
Yeah, and I'm like, I wasn't aware of it. Yeah. It's kind of funny because I'm like, I wasn't aware of it, but I'm like, maybe that's because she had both the parents. She had, all the brothers ahead of time. I almost wonder like that made a difference in it.
That probably made a big difference, right? She had much more stimulation.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing she got all them brothers then. They certainly have taught her a lot of things. I'm just like, please, God, have her turn out normal. I want to be able to have her get married, like the way them boys are. I'm just saying. The boys are so high strung, which you would know. That's why I'm like,
That's
okay,
right.
just calm it down a little bit. But at the same time, I'm almost wondering, are we sending kids to school too early then for the boys? Knowing that they have this wide range of emotions?
Yeah, they are less emotionally mature than the girls. And so if we did design education to fit the social emotional needs, we would still have interaction with the sexes, but I think we would have more parallel activity, and that the academics would be geared towards the developmental stages of the sexes, and they would be different.
That makes a lot of sense. Because it's
Boys
like
need
the
to
boys
move around, right? Girls are ready to sit in chairs and do things at desks, and boys need to move around.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference with my kids. I'm like, you can tell, like Sadie, she come out, she's like, she's ready to take care of the babies as they come, and I'm like, the boys, they're like, I just want to play with it. If I can't play with them, I'll just leave them alone. That's literally how my boys roll. They're like, baby, I don't care. If I can't play with them, I don't want them. Sadie, she's like, nope, I want to take him. I want to love him. I want to change him. I want to do everything. It's kind of funny because it's like you can see the big difference between the two, like for maturity wise and all of that then too, at the same time of that. So that makes sense, like where I've seen like some couples, how they've got like a 10-year or they got like a 15-year gap, like between each other when they're in relationships with each other. Like, would that even affect that when they get older? Like where you see that age gap as to why, like,
so
in relationships?
Yeah, because those are big gaps in terms of life experience.
Yeah, I'm just like thinking about like how, like normally when you go through high school as an example, you date somebody that's in the same grade as you, and then you tend to marry somebody within the same age range as you. But now I'm thinking of it on the other aspect, that maybe like when somebody does marry somebody that is older than they are, how does that play into the maturity level of the other person then, especially for the men?
Actually, I'm not quite sure of the impact of that. And I can't think right now of any clear studies that have been done on married couples that have significant age differences. So
that would be interesting to know. No, but that would be interesting to know though, because it's something, that I'm just like thinking about, like because we've talked about like the relationship with the intimacy part and that. So that's why I'm just like thinking if that does make a difference, if anybody's actually done that, to know if there is some like relatability part to that. That's all we've got me more thinking on more deeper questions. It's been a while since I've had deep conversation with somebody else. I appreciate this very much.
I'm glad. I've enjoyed the conversation very much.
Yeah, I have too, because I'm thinking about more questions now, which is always a good thing. But how do you hope that you'll make an impact with others?
Well, I do hope that there will be emotional growth for anyone that uses the journal book, and I've gotten great feedback from people who have started to use it. So I know that it is impactful for people who use it. So I really hope that will impact the lives of many people. And the other is I am in the process of finishing a book for fathers about the dynamic between fathers and sons, in hopes that fathers will pick it up and begin to do more questioning and do more searching about how to raise boys in the future and how to have a stronger relationship with their boys.
I think that'd be very important to strengthen that male bond between.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would really help society, like what you've said earlier as well,
Mm-hmm.
that having that trend go up towards more of that connection with the boys and their fathers
Mm-hmm.
would greatly strengthen us as a whole, in the entire society. I think that would help out tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
So then, when you're not working with others, where do you invest your time and your energy?
Well, I have a couple of things that I really love to do. One of them is I do watercolors and take classes online from watercolor teachers that I really admire and like. And the other is that I play a little Baroque instrument called an ottavino, which is a miniature size harpsichord is the best way to describe it. And so I have fun doing that.
That does sound like fun. And I know you already mentioned that you're writing another book about fathers and
right.
men specifically. Do you have a title for that yet, or like when you're coming out with it?
Yeah, it is How Not to Blank Up Raising a Boy. And that word I can't say.
I love it. I love it. So what's the best way for our audience to get in contact with you?
You could do that easily through my website, which is www.drvanderhorst.com. So it's www.drvanderhorst.com. That's the easiest way. And there are all kinds of things on the website for information. All the blogs are there. There are videos of different approaches to therapy so that you can get an understanding of the value and the process of different approaches to therapy. You can schedule time on my calendar there. So it's an informational place to land as well.
Awesome. I love that. So I just want to have our audience remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Healing for the Soul podcast, and keep coming back for more episodes. And thank you everyone for your time, your energy while listening to today's episode of Healing for the Soul podcast.
Quack, quack. Bye-bye. Wow, you got it.